Hey there, it's Binky. So today I want to talk about something that's a little bit interesting for the American culture. It's October here, and that can only mean one thing. Well, two things. Yes, it's fall, and soon it will be winter, which takes me to my sad place. But beyond that, Halloween is right around the corner. Now, I know around the world, Halloween isn't, everybody probably knows what it is, but it's not necessarily widely celebrated. I have friends from various parts of the world, and they have all mentioned that it's just not that big of a deal in their country, though it's changing a little bit due to American TV and movies putting it in there. More countries are embracing it a little bit more. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they are. Halloween is old. It is an old tradition from years ago, actually starting in around the UK. Well, Ireland and then Britain also has a lot to do with it and its traditions. But strangely enough, they don't celebrate it as much as we do in the US. They don't embrace it as much. I know somebody with two small children, and he mentioned how his wife is like, "You have to be there for Halloween because this is a big deal to these kids." But being from the UK, he's like, "Who cares? We'll just buy him candy." And she's like, "That's not the point." Which the point, it is a big deal for little kids. When you're a little kid, when you're 12 and under, because usually you should be 12 and under in trick-or-treating, though there's some who are older who will go longer and they don't even try with their costume and they show up at your door and you're like, you didn't even dress up. You just want the candy, dude. But I'm not gonna lie, I did that because I've always been like small for my age. So when I was a little kid, when I was like 16, I still looked like I was like 2. So I went because I'm just small stature. So I won't lie, I did it. I probably still would if I could get away with it, but I can't now. So I have to go by my own. But usually what happens is kids 12 and under, and they will take like pillowcases or like little plastic pumpkins or other various containers. They knock on the door and then they go trick or treat, and hey, you get some candy or some kind of treat, usually candy, because there's this scare that it has to be closed candy because there's some scare because of the movie Halloween that people were putting like razor blades and fruit. Not the kids want fruit anyway. And homemade stuff is a big no-no unless you know the person. So basically it has to be wrapped up, and usually the parents will look at the candy when they get home and make sure that it hasn't been tampered with. Unfortunately, that's what's happened in this country. It's kind of sad. That happened before my time. I guess that was happening like in the 70s. I don't know. But bad news, people. But so yeah, it's usually you dress up in some kind of costume, usually something that's popular in pop culture during that year, or something that's a staple that most kids have been in, like horror movies. Like a kid will dress up as a vampire or a cowboy, or whatever, or whatever's big at the time in Disney or Pixar. So that's pretty much what happens. They go with their parents go door to door, and there you go. Though you have to be careful because you can only go to doors that have lights on, because sometimes the lights will be off because these people do not want to partake in Halloween. So don't go to those doors because they don't want you there. But it's a little bit different in New York City, but I'll probably do a separate video on that because it's kind of thrown me off as a West Coast girl. But you basically have 3 classes. So you have the little kids, and then you have the teenagers who aren't old enough to drink, though they'll probably still sneak it, but they're too old for trick-or-treating. So a lot of these people do mischievous things that they shouldn't. Usually it's harmless, like toilet papering somebody's house. It's especially fun when it's raining because it's going to suck to clean the next morning, egging houses, doing small stupid pranks. Sometimes people will escalate it a little bit more in their jerks because that's just not cool. That is not cool. But they're teenagers, and that's kind of how it goes. Then you have the third class of people, the adults, who can enjoy adult beverages, and they do, because Halloween is made for drinking a lot of times in the US if you're an adult. It also is a fun time for costumes. As an adult, the thing is the guys will be a little bit more creative with their costuming, and I hate to say it, ladies, I'm sorry, but women will usually dress in a way that's very provocative, even if it has nothing to do with the characters. You can have Dora the Explorer, and of course she will be the boobylicious version of it. So it'll be Dora dressed as a CD explorer. Yeah, it's true. There are some women who don't do that and are a little bit more creative, but for the most part, it's become, I want to dress in as little clothes as possible, and drink a lot and say, hey, I'm celebrating Halloween. It's not even creativity. You're wearing a black leotard with cat ears and that's your costume. But whatever. As you can tell, I'm not really big into this aspect, but I have to be honest with you. I do theater, and because of that, I dress up a lot, and so it kind of loses its allure after you've done a certain amount of productions where you're just like, I do this all the time and I get paid for it, so why am I going to do it for free and drink? I mean, I could just go do a show on the weekend or film on the weekend, and then I can go grab a beer afterwards. So I'm living the best of both worlds, so I don't need to dress up. So Halloween kind of has never been much of a joy for me since I couldn't get free candy anymore. They should do trick-or-treating for adults, and then they'll rope this one back in. But it's still a really big deal in this country, and you know, I hear it's catching on more so around the world, which is interesting because I'm wondering how they go about celebrating it. But big deal here. What I like I said, is the horror movies. I enjoy the horror movies. They're really cheesy. They're bad. They're here for me. I love October because I get to watch that all the way through. Though they're playing less of them, that's the good thing, though. They will show up in late night TV, and they're just cheesy, and it makes me so happy. The thing that I do love, too, is the decorations are really great. There's some really creative things. The little children are just so cute because they're just so excited. So I love going out and seeing the costuming of the little kids. There are fun things to do though, like haunted houses if you're into cheap thrills. Not that way, but cheap scares, let me put it that way. You can go to haunted houses all over the US. You pay some money, you go into these places, and like things will jump out at you, or creatures will like scare you out of corners. I remember some gorillas attacked me once and pulled me into a cage, and I think they ended up getting fired because you can't really do that. But they were physically assaulting some of the women by picking them up and bringing them into cages, and yeah, that's a big no-no. But that was a strange story. But anyway, um, it's still fun if you like cheap scares and fun like that. You can go play in haunted houses. Scary movies will come out, and people will see those a lot during the month. So it's fun, especially here in New York City. There's a lot of craziness that goes on, and I'll do another video on that. But that's basically kind of the cultural aspect of Halloween in the U.S. and how it's celebrated. Also, I have some videos that I'll show of the parade in the East Village and things. So look forward to that, because it's going to be a lot of fun here for the Halloween month. Anyway, if you have any questions about American culture, or anything else about Halloween or any other holidays in the U.S., please drop me a line or send me a comment and we'll get to it. Anyway, I hope you have a fabulous October and an even better Halloween if you celebrate it. Have a good day. Bye.